Right. I just woke up and I saw this stuff happened, and yeah, I thought I'd say some words and stuff. Apparently, Lindsay Ellis, a film critic, YouTuber, and author, has quit social media, and that's most likely because of, or not most likely, it is in fact because of targeted harassment. Which, surprise, surprise, another woman on the internet being bullied. I mean, geez. So if I'm a bit incoherent, it's because it's currently 4 a.m. In my time, and yeah, I haven't really wrapped my head around this. Uh, and we will read through Lindsay Ellis's message pretty soon. And but first, I'd just like to go through some things, like some of my personal history, some of what's going on, what's actually happened, and some history behind this, because I feel like this is pretty I think that stuff's pretty important to the situation. I and yeah, we can start with what's going on now. Um 9 months ago, Lindsay Ellis did a tweet, and we'll take a look at the tweet later, don't worry, where she compared quite innocently to movies, Raya the Last Dragon and, well, not a movie, but Avatar the Last Airbender, which was in a joking matter, in a sort of fun, sarcastic type of way. And there was nothing wrong with what she said, and the internet just dogpiled her. And I saw it everywhere. This was about 9 months ago in March, I think. And that didn't. That's just horrible. And she did release a video afterwards, I think. I think it was this time because she's had plenty of controversies before, but with Mask Off. The video Mask Off, which was really vulnerable and really impressive. And yeah, it really left an impact on me as well, personally. Because often when art is vulnerable, it does leave an impression. And it's not very easy to. And when it comes to that sort of thing, I mean, I've seen ContraPoints go through several of the same sort of targeted harassments, and her videos, which I can't remember. I can't remember the one I was thinking about just now. Sorry if I'm a bit rambly. It is very early. But yeah, she's gone through some of this stuff herself as a woman on the internet, which I do think is the actual thing. Um, yeah, so I think I'm more to explain like, my history with Lindsay Ellis, because this is sort of why this is affecting me, and why I just hate this so much, because I really liked her as as a YouTuber, as an artist, as a movie critic, all those things. I started watching Lindsay Ellis, well, a few episodes of her song while she was on Channel Awesome or Nostalgia Critic, that guy with the glasses, whatever you want to categorize it as. It was that guy with the glasses at the time, but I did watch her some. She was my favorite, because I was young and stupid, of course. I and later I rediscovered her after she'd made some excellent movie reviews and analyses and stuff on YouTube, like branching out of her own on her own. And yeah, for the last few years, I've I've watched everything she's done, and it's just admirable how well she's able to formulate her thoughts and her points and her analyses. And yeah, like her Game of Thrones um, rants, really brilliant, really good stuff. And I mean, the Hobbit trilogy. she did was also fantastic. She interviewed some of the dwarves actually, and she really dug really deep into why those movies probably didn't work, and how come they didn't work, and how did it get to be that way. And I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, so that sort of content really spoke to me. And when it got more personal later on, she really got vulnerable in a good way, and it really heightened videos into art, I think. Um, that's a short of it. I will get into some other stuff because she's had a lot of harassment um during the years. I mean, like I mean, she's not really left leaning, is she? She or she isn't overtly political in her content. She is she reviews movies and she does critique some stuff in there. So she's kind of hinted at where her political stances lie or whatever. And she's I think it's more important that she's perceived to be left leaning and a leftist. I think that's more important than her actual political beliefs because she hasn't stated them. She hasn't talked much on, at least on in her YouTube content, about her political views. And she's friends with ContraPoint. She's friends with yeah, like Natalie Wynn, like Abigail Thorne, I think, and H Bomber Guy, and all these like the bread tube crowds. And she's received harassment just by association as well. Because as she alludes to in her goodbye letter, which we will, I don't worry, we'll still have a look at that. Um, like she's gotten a lot of crap thrown her way by association with this, and this sort of leads us into the change the channel movement, which was a part. She was a part of Channel Awesome, guy with the glasses, and she and a bunch of creators came out to get to put a light on what was going on at that channel company, I guess. What was going on there, which was a lot of harassment there too, a lot of mismanagement and interpersonal messes, and yeah, and there was payment issues. There were things being posted without consent and horrible planning and all that stuff. You you can still find the document, which is about 78 pages the last time I checked, or something like that. If you want to read something that craps on a Channel Awesome, which is very popular these days, so there it is. Hashtag change the channel. And I think that's sort of because this is a few years ago now, and she got some stuff there too for that. She got some flack for being a part of that, as probably one of the biggest creators to come from that space, and most alumni of the of Channel Awesome creators have far eclipsed the quality and the content of anything they're doing nowadays. Certainly, what anything nostalgia critic related. But I don't want to get into more of that. I'm sort of sidetracking myself. And she's received a lot of stuff over the years, and this sort of brings us to other tweet, which I'll put on screen right here. This is it. This is it, by the way. also watched Raya and the Last Dragon, and I think we need to come up with a name for this genre that is basically Avatar, The Last Airbender Reduxes. It's like half of all young adult fantasy published in the last few years anyway. This is it. This is it. And I mean, I'm laughing. I shouldn't be. Because it's horrible. This is the cause of the dog pile. Of course, it's not the root of it. It's not the root of the problem. Like this tweet. I think that's just a spark that ignited the gunpowder barrel, or whatever metaphor you want to use for things blowing up. And I think why she was targeted it has more to do with being perceived as a left-leaning, white, wealthy white woman. And she got dogpiled hard. I mean, apparently this was going on for months at a time, and then I think I actually need to read the thing now, which I won't read everything, but we'll get into some of it. So this is the Patreon post. It is available. Like I found it on Reddit. You can find it many places. Walking away from Omelas. That's based on the short story, which is apparently really good, and I'm planning on reading it. It's apparently just 1 to 2 pages long. This is going to be a YouTube video, but I just don't have it in me to invite that kind of scrutiny. To be the last in the sick, sad line of YouTubers who get all weepy on camera and cry about how they just can't do this anymore. Boo-hoo-hoo. I had planned to move video content to Nebula, but I realize now that doing that would just keep wounds wide open. My life ended 9 months ago. What has taken up bandwidth ever since has been a ghost. It's almost funny. How many people insist that I have lost nothing? You know, because your subscriber count is the only metric for success in cancel culture doesn't exist. One YouTube channel chugging along on algorithmic inertia is not success. It's just an engine driving on fumes. Many will say this is being melodramatic, that my life isn't over, that there was absolutely nothing stopping me from brushing myself up, building back up goodwill, and shutting up and playing the game. And I try that. In a way, I suppose it's good that I did, because I needed to learn the hard way that there was never going to work. There is no unfucking this. You can't find the energy if there is nothing left to convert to it. You can't be a better person if you're nothing but a hollow shell of one. And watching her content and following along this insane drama, this hits hard. Because you can really feel how much this has hurt her personally, as well as, yeah, well, and that leaks over to the business side of things. And from following her, I have seen that she did make a statement a while ago that she was only going to use Twitter and YouTube for mostly promoting herself as an author and not using it in a personal sense anymore. But that obviously didn't work out because she's just been dogpiled and mobbed for a long time now. And yeah, let's keep going. I have read this before, so I do know some of it coming up, but yeah. 2021 has been the worst year of my life. I'm traumatized by it. To this day, I still have people scolding me by how I handle it, that I should have handled it differently, that I should have controlled my stance, as if I had the capability to know what any of these people were even saying to strangers on Twitter, while I was shitting blood for weeks on end. That's apparently a symptom of stress. I didn't know that before. The worst thing about this whole thing is that I can't even admit this trauma because of all the rhetorical devices people have already come up with to dismiss it. That centering my own pain is evidence of not listening. Does it occur to these people that you can listen and disagree with other people's conclusions? that I'm weaponizing my fragile white womanhood, or whatever, to say that having thousands upon thousands of people who you never met hate you and say whatever will get them the most updots is traumatizing. That people I used to know would sit there and lie about me on Twitter.com to the tunes of thousands of retweets and tens of thousands of likes, and I just have to sit there and take it. My favorites are the people who dismiss any potential harm I might have incurred as justified because I'm a wealthy white woman. I am not wealthy. While these same people's hearts positively bleed for Britney Spears. And this, I think this really strikes where, this really strikes true and right to where the issue lies. Because she says later on that because she's perceived as a wealthy white woman, and the amount of people mobbing her, that it isn't quite the same as on other abuses, because you can't really link it to one specific person. And yeah, and the fact that people she knew lies about her, and that gathers more attention, and then later down the line it doesn't even matter if anything that was said was true, because it will remain in the consciousness and brought up every time. Every time she gets on the infamous shit list again. And people find out, oh hey, it's time to harass a woman on the internet again. And I mean, it had happened to her before. There's a famous clip of her from when she used to work for Doug Walker and the rest of the people, where she did a sketch which was admittedly not a good look. It was kind of racist and stuff, which it did to try to fit in with the other creators at the time. And she's profusely apologized before. She said that this isn't representative of her anymore, and she certainly hasn't done anything to warrant this kind of scorn later on, but it gets dragged up. And this was about 2009, 2008. So in internet years, it has been, in internet time, it has been eons when you forgot everything else after 2 weeks around here. And I think this thing will probably blow over, because people got what they wanted, didn't they? And you see this happening with other creators as well. Like Jenny Nicholson, or I can't quite remember. And Zara said also gets a bunch of hate. Jenny Nicholson, I think that's it. Because when Lindsay Ellis last left Twitter, you saw a bunch of people posting, "Great, Jenny's next," and I can't really find any other reason that they are female YouTubers. I mean, I'd hate to do the thing, the thing. But that's honestly probably it. These people do not see how similar these talking points are to the same boomer bootstrap parenting style that I thought most of us had agreed this was abusive, that you need to toughen up, you need to accept your punishment, accept that even if your action was outside, you did something wrong. Because there's smoke, where there's smoke, there's fire. Grow a thicker skin. These same people who always crow about believing victims, telling victims of public dogpiles that they do not deserve to claim their trauma. let alone process it, because they deserved it. There is no such thing as cancel culture. There is no incentive reward structure in places like Twitter to call people out. There are no updates, favs, follows, retweets, or hotting a take on whomever is trending. And yeah, this yeah, I'll keep going. I reread the 2015 essay Hot Allostatic Load for the first time in years last night, and I could not stop crying. Even reading some of these passages now, I can't stop crying. This was written from the perspective of trans femme and discusses some rhetorical devices used to demonize trans women specifically, which obviously does not apply to me, but some of it's spot on. One of the most common tools of exclusion is through mobbing, which is rarely talked about because unlike rape, murder, etc., it's not easy to pin on a single person or scapegoat. Mobbing is emotional abuse practiced by a group of people, usually peers, over a period of time. Through methods such as gaslighting, rumor mongering, and ostracism. It's most documented in workplace or academic environments, i.e. key points of capitalist tension, but is thoroughly institutionalized into feminist, queer, and radical spaces as well. It has unusually strong power to damage the victim's relationship to society because it can't be written off as an outlier, as some singular monster. It reveals a fundamental truth about people that makes it difficult to trust ever again. People become like aliens, like a pack of animals that can turn on you as soon as some mysterious pheromone shift marks you for death. The insidious nature of emotional abuse. How do you fight ostracism and rumors? They leave no bruises, they just starve you. Mobbing typically occurs in places where the victim is trapped by some need or obligation, work, school, circles of friends. They can prolong exposure to damaging extremes. For these reasons, PTSD is almost an inevitable outcome of any protracted mobbing case. And, yeah. This is really indicative and true. Just indicative of the problem and just probably true all around for what's happened to Lindsay Ellis. Minus the trans femme thing, of course. And, yeah. I mean, it will happen again, which is the thing I'm really upset about. And this time it happened to Lindsay Ellis. And then it will happen to some other YouTuber I like, and then it will happen to other YouTubers which I might have not heard about, and just ruining a lot of people emotionally, with no way to respond to it or fight it, except grow thicker skin, which is boomer mentality, as was said. And we'll go into the last bit as well. Something else that was also inevitable. I was going to quit YouTube. I knew I couldn't do it forever, that I was running out of steam, that I was sick of the increasing dehumanization inherent, that I just didn't have anything to say about movies anymore. The plan was always to end with Love Never Dies, since it seemed like the best place to end, with some semblance of energy, rather than keeping until I've withered away to nothing. What happened to me in March and April hastened it, but this was always inevitable. My initial plan was to leave YouTube for Nebula, but I now realize this is only entrenching myself in a more intimate form of harm, rather than the broad buckshot kind that YouTube invites. I won't go into detail, not right now anyway, but I can't do more video content for them either. I can't make content, period. I just can't do this anymore. There is no healing as long as there is attachment to the thing that makes you suffer. And the thing in this case is being in the public eye at all. What I wanted was to quietly disappear, but since this is a platform where people are paying me to make content, I feel like I have to make a statement. If it were just me by myself, I would just sign off and say goodbye, and that would be it. But I have a team who depends on my company for health insurance, and including dependents, I supply full benefits for 8 people. And here in the US, employee-based insurance is often the only feasible option. saying to everyone, sorry about your children, but they can't have insurance anymore because Twitter makes me sad. It just doesn't seem like a fair deal. None of them, incidentally, know I'm posting this. So the only thing I can do for now is to keep this page active, with a loose promise that someday I'll figure out something in the future to make up for this, while asking you please stop messaging me about apologizing for not being able to subscribe anymore. You don't owe me anything. This Patreon is like my own life and career, just running on fumes. But I know now that being in the public eye at all is a losing game, and I regret all of it. I regret every time I've stood up for anyone. It always backfires. I regret every time I pushed back against something unjust. It was always just used to hurt me. I regret every time I ever stood up for myself. I never did it correctly. I regret every time I showed any vulnerability, just more ammunition to be used against me later. I regret every time I ever tried to play the game with peers and colleagues. It will drop you the second you aren't popular on Twitter anymore. It's all hollow and brittle. And if there's one thing I've learned this year, is how eminently expendable I am. The good, progressive, cis, straight, wealthy white men keep on trucking and coming out on top because deep down they know that the systems they profess to stand against ultimately exist to benefit them. And to all the people who tell me I need to grow thicker skin or remove myself from the conversation altogether, you are right. I don't have it in me to do the former, so I shall do the latter. Hope your new year is better than this. And, that's the last thing. That's the post. It's heartbreaking. And the thing about the good, progressive, straight, wealthy white men is also true. Because there are systems in place to protect them and benefit them. Or us, I'm neither wealthy nor straight, but that's another thing entirely. And this really hurts because I can empathize. Well, not really. I can't really understand what this is like. But yeah, this is I've been a fan for years, and this really upset me. Because she says she regret every time she showed vulnerability, and yet again she's leaving a lot of herself plain to see. If she really goes through with not being in the public eye anymore and not on social media, which I hope she can, I hope she manages to. Then good for her. I think that's healthy for her, and wish her nothing but the best, honestly. And I mean, she shouldn't have to do this, again, and again, and again. And the thing about her obligations towards her employees, or how she described it, on her dependents, which she supplies benefits. This took a lot of courage, and it took, honestly, not just chugging along on fumes, which would harm her immensely. Moving on, I think this is best for her, and yeah, I hope she heals. I know I'm kind of repeating myself now. So, I mean, who's next on on this journey? Because this is probably not the first time it's happened. It's just the first time I've noticed that someone's left for good. But I'm fairly sure it's happened a bunch of times before. And Yeah, I know I just said that, well, I'm not wealthy or straight, so clearly she doesn't mean me. That's also, that was a bit tongue-in-cheek. That's not true. This, these systems need to be changed if we are, if this is to be healthy, and if, like, if women in general are able to, to do stuff, do creative stuff without being pushed out, because, I mean, this is the first time I've experienced it on Twitter, but certainly it's happened in the public eye many times before, and there's a ton of examples of that as well. And, yeah, I mean, this whole thing is so heartbreaking. And to think that the one tweet, like, ignited this whole... The one tweet ignited this whole thing is kind of weird to think about, but don't mistake it for that being the entire reason why this targeted harassment campaign started. Because it wasn't. She's been targeted by chuds and just a bunch of peers and a lot of people in general. Just a bunch of people in general has had it out for her. And I'm seeing a lot of people saying, "Oh, she's quitting. She's quitting the Twitter and the YouTubes because of one tweet." And no, this is a systemic thing, and it's been happening for years. That tweet was just the spark, which made it flare up all at once, and it just coalesced into this one singular thing. And keep in mind, it's not the tweet; it's systemic. It's something that's happened for years, and a lot of harassment campaigns have happened. Some smaller, some larger, and that's happened before. As I said, I've seen this happen to a lot of the YouTubers I watch. I mean, and as the Twitter mobs, they form so easily. Like it just takes one piece of misinformation and one tweet from a random person, and then boom. I've seen this happen to Abigail Thorne, Philosophy Tube. I've seen this happen to Natalie Wynn. I've seen it happen to Game Grumps, for God's sake. Like, the Game Grumps, the haha funny guys who plays games. There was this whole thing. But they got off scot-free, of course. Because it was a lie. And the system allows it for them to get away scot-free, so that died down quickly. That was a thing of like 2 weeks, gone. And I even saw Philosophy Tube get piled because he was friends with ContraPoints, when she went through a controversy of her own. I remember it quite vividly. And she said something along the lines of, "I won't disown my friends just because some of you think she did something wrong." I think Philosophy Tube actually did say something more. Neutral and more PR savvy. I think it was actually Lindsay Ellis, again, who said that thing, that she won't disown her friends just because people require it for her. But that just goes to show how the dogpiling can leak to the people around you. And ContraPoints in that particular video did say that her drama resulted in that she felt scared of being publicly friends with anyone because she knows that drama will just spread over to her friends, and that's another thing that you feel you have to isolate yourself from your friend circles, just so that they don't look bad by association. I don't know, man. That's at least my take. I've rambled for like half an hour now, and I don't know how much will end up in the video. Probably most of it, to be honest. And yeah, I know that my videos so far has just been, oh, Phasmophobia, Football Manager, but I felt like this was important to my limited audience. And be sure, try at least not to be on the dogpile end of things, because that's just a bad look in general. Yeah, well, if this is my last video, well, this will be my last video before New Year, so happy New Year. See ya.